Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have an absolutely outstanding show for you. Strap in for the next 75 minutes, folks. We have two big bomb topics, but I do want to open up with a bit of a course correction. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, about 25 minutes ago, I was sent something. So shout out to Iman Burns, who's in the chat. He had sent me that the Sony Rewards program is being shut down as of December 31st, 2024. Now, of course, my brain immediately equated that to PlayStation Stars program. So, of course, when you get it wrong as a content creator, the correct thing to do is come out in front of the audience and be like, hey, listen, I got it wrong, and I have to shout out Royal Boyle 78, my man, who actually wrote to me and was like, hey, this is the correction. It's this, it's not that. So Royal Boyle, thank you so much for the correction. Super appreciate it. Now, the reason, of course, there's always reasons, right? It wasn't console war. I was listening to King David's latest Xbox Frontline news from yesterday, and the reason why I automatically equated it from one to the other is, and I didn't know this until I watched his newest episode, the Sony Rewards program, which of course is separate, the PlayStation Stars program, if you didn't know, has been offline since June 5th of 2024. It is still not up to date. It is still not functioning. And when you call customer service, you are being advised not to make any purchases, as it's possible that those purchases will not count for, towards your reward program with PlayStation Stars, which is kind of crappy, to be honest with you. But that is why I equated it. But of course, I wanted to set the record straight because I did delete the email. I did delete the Twitter post because obviously I gotten it wrong. But that is past us now. Now we're going to get into some fun. But before we get there, my man, C Money, how you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. Thanks for having me, man. It's good to be here again. Love our Thursday shows. It's a fun time. Come hang out for a while. It's good times, man. We're in a good place over in Xbox land. So we got nothing but smiles over here. I'm not
Indeed. Now, look,
no
you know
frowns
what?
come our way.
There is a small frown with the Xbox community. Now, of course, we're going to handle this like gentlemen. This is not an Xbox tax conversation that we're about to have. There are reasons. We're going to go over those reasons, but we're going to kind of have to turn the spotlights on to both Xbox and Capcom. What am I talking about? The Marvel vs. Capcom collection coming to Steam, coming to PS4, coming to Switch, skipping Xbox. Now, this has been a very hot topic in the last 24 to 48 hours, and I know there are a lot of people, there's a lot of folks out there that are like, who cares? Boom, it's an old game. Well, here's the thing. I care. If you have been following me, you know that I am a Capcom dude. Certainly not as big as Maximilian Dude, who went completely ape-s on his show when it happened. And I watched that reaction like 3 or 4 times. I love that dude. And he was in LA and I did not meet him. I'm so angry at myself that I missed out on meeting Maximilian Dude. I mean, that's the fighting guy extraordinaire, and he's closing in on 2 million subs on his incredible YouTube channel. So,
pretty good, man.
What exactly is happening? Well, there is something that Capcom used to use back in the days called the MT framework. Now, I reached out, because I'm not a tech guy, to Kei Asante. And basically, it is possible. It is not impossible for Xbox to work with Capcom to get this done. Now, this is where I turn the spotlights on to them and I say, okay, lazy devs or lazy companies, we know that you're not going to make $1 billion on releasing this collection of old games on the Xbox Series X and S. But I don't think that is really the point here. I understand it's a business. I understand that it would take a little extra work. I don't know if Capcom went to Xbox and they said no. I don't know if Xbox went to Capcom and they said no. Maybe the two parties never met in the middle and it's just a moot point. I don't know because Capcom has not responded to any of the tweets and neither has Xbox. Now, again, does it make either of these companies villains? No. Is this Xbox tax on display? The answer is it is not. It is a MT framework issue. Now, with that said, it doesn't make it right. Now, there are going to be people that are probably going to clip this and be like, oh, look, that Boom guy, F that Xbot, he's crying. No, I'm not. I have these games. I own the actual physical discs that are worth $300 and $400, maybe upwards of $500. I own them all on Dreamcast. I own them on the OG Xbox. I have some stuff digital, but this is a pretty cool collection, especially if you are a Capcom guy or gal who appreciates fighters. That is really me in a nutshell. So, am I distressed over this C-Money? The answer is I am not. I am buying it for the Switch, and I'm hoping that Capcom sees the potential to make extra money and they release a new fighter stick, a new arcade stick, and potentially some 6-button fighter pads to go along with this release. This release is incredibly ultra cool. I'm excited. I am going to buy it on the Switch. It's not a problem, but I would have easily double dipped and bought this on the Xbox. So here we are. It's presented to us. No word from Capcom C-Money, no word from Xbox. I'm not saying that the door is closed because I don't know. But let's get your hot takes on this because again, depending on who you talk to, some people don't care. Like, whatever, it's an old game. I want Marvel vs. Capcom 4. I hear you. I hear you, ladies and gentlemen, but for me, it is a big deal, but it is a deal that I'm going to have to then move my purchase onto Switch and not Xbox. I wish it had both. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, listen, I'm not insensitive to the people who, feel some type of way about not having this, right? So I get that. Um, that being said, if this was like Square Enix or maybe not Square Enix now, but like if it were like a company that doesn't do stuff with Microsoft, I would be like, "Yo, this is crazy," right? But Capcom
Yep.
literally has multiple games going into Game Pass. You have Day One, The Path of the Goddess, or whatever coming soon, right? Like these are not. This is not a company who shuns Xbox, right? So the reality is that this whole MT framework thing, it's not impossible. It's just very difficult, and it's clear even when you look at what they're bringing it to, they're not bringing it to the PlayStation 5, right? They're bringing is the PlayStation 4 version. They're not making a PlayStation 5 version, right? Whether the game's going to work on PlayStation 5, a lot of people try to act like it's this, oh, it automatically works no matter what. Well, we've been in the world of PlayStation where certain games did not work when backwards compatibility first was starting off with them, and who
Yep.
knows whether this old ass game is going to work there or not. Like we don't know, right? They haven't come out and said, "Oh, it's definitely going to work on PlayStation 5." As a matter of fact, specifically, they put PlayStation 4 on the box, right? So at the end of the day, I don't with everything that Xbox is bringing to us. My problem with the scenario is keep seeing these Twitter posts of another game not coming to Xbox. At Xbox, what's wrong with you? At Xbox, what's happening? You know what Xbox is doing? Xbox is giving us a showcase that gave us fucking 17. Oh, damn. God,
That's all right. That's all right.
son of a gun. That gave us all these games that we're going to be getting coming, right? So I'm not, again, I have no problem with the idea of, hey, Capcom, why are you doing this? Hey, Capcom, spend the money to make the changes. Hey, Capcom, you're screwing over your audience. This is not Xbox's audience. They're screwing Capcom's audience, right? Capcom is screwing their own players, right? So if we focused on Capcom doing what they're supposed to do, let's be clear, PlayStation's not doing anything. PlayStation didn't go over to them and say, "Hey, you need to make a PlayStation 5 version. This has to happen." Right? No, that's not there, right? No, nobody's expecting PlayStation to go above and beyond, right? Because Capcom, obviously, the PlayStation 4 version will work. Now, this is the other thing to keep in mind, and you know, as far as like the games are concerned, remember that on Xbox, you cannot release an Xbox One game. That doesn't
Right.
exist. There
Right.
is no such beast. There is only a Xbox Series X, Xbox Series X, and Xbox One version if you wanna have the Xbox One version. So the only thing that could be excluded ever is Xbox One, not Xbox Series S, right? So because of that, Capcom doesn't wanna make a next gen version. Clearly, they're not making one for PlayStation 5.
Right. It's
So it's
backwards
like
compatible. Correct.
yeah. So, and at the end of the day, it's Capcom who's choosing not to do it. This is a mandate that they've always had. They're not going to bend the knee for Capcom's one game to be like, "Hey, make it Xbox One only," and then people are confused as to what's happening. Obviously, back compat works on Xbox One and Series X. Actually, it works better, right? It works seamless 100%. So there's something that's clearly off that Capcom does not want to resolve. They know that it's not going to sell that much as it's exciting for the people who like that the game. Let's just be real. Like fighting games in general don't go crazy outside of your biggest ones, right? So listen, at the end of the day, I have no problem with people going on Twitter, raging out at Capcom. How you going to play us? How you going to play your fans on Xbox? How you going to do this? 100%. I'm all for it. The
Yeah.
reason that I instantly remove myself from that conversation of having sympathy towards it is when I start seeing everybody going at Xbox. As soon as I start seeing people tagging Xbox, calling them names and look at what's happening. Another L for X. This is not an L for
It's
Xbox.
not.
This is an L for Capcom.
Yeah.
Capcom should take care of its fans. Xbox fans are Xbox fans. That's a whole different beast. If you're worried about the Capcom game, that's not because you're an Xbox fan, it's because you're a Capcom fan who's a fan of that game and they are playing you. So what everyone should be doing is rioting against Capcom. How dare you not bring the game to the 40 million people on Xbox or, even if you're including the Xbox One, the 80 million people between the two of them or whatever. Like that's an L on Capcom's part. If that was the discourse, yeah, let's go, man. Let's bring it to them. Let's bring it to Capcom. You know what I'm saying? This is Xbox. It's not their problem to sit there and try to do this. And we could say, yeah, that they could foot the bill. Yeah, they can pay them to do it. It's like then that's extortion, right? That's Capcom saying, if you want that game to come to your fans, then you're gonna have to pay us. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like that opens the gates to so much more, right? Like if they do it for this one, what's to stop Capcom every single time they make one of these older games to be like, well, if you want it, Xbox, you're gonna have to pay up. Oh, PlayStation, now you're cool. We'll put it out on your system, but Xbox got to pay. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't make that's not right. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not right. That's not the way business works. If they want to bring the game to their people, they should do it. Listen, we all said for the longest, hey, why can't Game Pass be on Steam? Right? Steam is a platform. Steam would love to have Game Pass, like the people, right? But obviously, Gabe Newell knows what he's doing. He wants something special out of Microsoft because Microsoft would do it. So there's something above and beyond that he wants to make that happen. And that's why it's not happening, right? Like, this is just the reality of it, man. And again, it sucks for the people who are not getting the game. Like, I have no, like I don't. It doesn't matter to me. I have the cabinet. I bought I have the arcade cabinet here, and you
Nice.
know, is dope looking. You know what I'm saying? But I don't like. I played it a few times, and then it's like okay, like I'm just not a hardcore like fighter fan. I'll play the games for a little bit and then I move on. But listen, it sucks for sure that it's not coming for the people who absolutely want it. But I just think it's a little disingenuous to go ahead and say to Xbox, like, you guys are the problem here. You're the worst. You can't do anything right because Capcom, even though they're bringing their other games to, Game Pass, they're not bringing you this old game and you're not trying to force them to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't think we need to go crazy on
No, I
that.
mean,
But
listen,
to each their own.
it's an absolute fair point, and I think you're onto something. So I did a little legwork for this conversation specifically. So if you didn't know, on the Xbox One, Capcom released a fighting game collection, right? And it has a ton of fighters in there. Some of which are very obscure, but they're in there. They also released the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, which is right up my alley because it has all of their sadly, it has all of their side-scrolling beat 'em ups except for the love of Joe Aliens versus Predators, which I have to get on a ROM and not an official one, which is driving me
That's
crazy,
wild.
but hopefully one day. Now, those two games are playable on the Xbox Series X via being Xbox One games. I'm not a tech guy, ladies and gentlemen, and maybe someone can school me. I'll reach out to Kay Asante and see maybe he knows better than I do. But I will say that if they released a PS4 version, which they are, and you can play it on your PS5, why not an Xbox One version that you can play on your Xbox Series X and S? I don't know the answer to that. Again, C Money, you did break it down perfectly. This is not an Xbox tax thing. I think people going after Xbox, like with the names, I think it's unnecessary. And again, I said to open the show, I don't know if this is lazy Xbox, lazy Capcom, one or the other, or both. But I think that I'm hoping 'cause Xbox is pretty good about responding to the peoples. That's who they are, right? That's what they do. Maybe a conversation is being had between the two companies to at some point get this done. I don't know, but we'll revisit it once this releases. Now we don't know the release date because it didn't have one. It's simply coming in 2024. I would imagine towards the end of the year, closer to maybe the holiday. And again, for me, I'm buying it on the Switch. I'm going to play it there. I'm going to enjoy it. But look, we have bigger fish to fry, so to speak, there, C Money, because I want to get into PlayStation skipping Gamescom 2024. Now, if you did not know, this is something that has been happening for the last 5 years. Is now the fifth consecutive year that they are skipping Gamescom. I do think it is a mistake. It does indicate, at least for me, C Money, that there really isn't a roadmap for PlayStation and for Sony. This is something that has been very apparent for 2024. It was very apparent in 2023, where they only had one first party game. Now, interestingly enough, almost like clockwork, I have a couple of stories pulled here, which again, we're going to go into more detail on tomorrow's Breakfast with Boom. But we did, Aaron Greenberg, VP of marketing, actually posted something that was very interesting. Now, a couple of weeks ago, if you remember, Paris Lilly, who we all know and love, actually had confirmed that there were a lot of games that were held back or out of the Xbox showcase because there was not enough room. They showed 30 games. Originally, it was rumored that this was going to be an over 3 hour event. It had to be cut down. It was 2 hours. And now we have learned, and we heard Paris talk about it, where it looked to Gamescom and the Tokyo Game Show to be pretty big for Xbox. I'm interested to get your hot take, but before we get it, let's get into what
Is
he
it Tokyo
actually
Game
said.
Show?
Yeah, well, not Tokyo Game Show. We're going to get into about Sony skipping Gamescom. But
Oh, okay.
interestingly enough, Aaron Greenberg just tweeted this. And he says, looking forward to seeing familiar faces and new ones at Gamescom this year as we are back with our, in caps, biggest booth ever. Now, this runs parallel to exactly what Paris was talking about. And I think that this is an opportunity for Xbox to really see. Again, think about this for a second. See, money. They dominated here in the United States with the not E3, right? They had their showcase, biggest showcase they've ever had, highest reviewed showcase they ever had, 17 first party games in one showcase. It's never been done before. Most decent gamers who are not looking for clout came out of that show and was like, holy cow, this was amazing. But here is where the world dominance conversation comes into play. They're going to Germany. That is part of Europe, obviously. It's a place where they kind of struggle. And now we know, thanks to Aaron Greenberg, that this is going to be their biggest booth ever in the actual event's history. That's a big deal. After that, in September, they're flying, and I mean you're going to get Phil, you're going to get Aaron, you're going to get potentially Sarah to fly out to Japan for Tokyo Game Show, another region where they kind of struggled a bit and have been struggling for years. And apparently that is going to be very Japanese game or JRPG focus, which is something that a lot of people like myself enjoy. And that is going to be a freaking big show. They are now seemingly saving things for regions where they know they need extra help. And man, it looks like it is going to be a big deal. With all of that said, C Money, the fact that Sony is skipping another major event is just baffling to me. Let's get into it.
I mean, definitely it's baffling because you would think that they would have prepared for, this far into their generation of the PlayStation 5, but I mean, as we know, they just have nothing. They have no games that are of consequence. Yes, you have Astro Bot that's coming out later this year that obviously at the beginning of the generation they didn't think enough of it to charge for it. They put it in as a pack-in, and now they're going to expand it and then charge you full price for it. Maybe because they looked at all the people who played it for free and thought that that would somehow turn into a bunch of people paying money for it. I don't know. Their business sense is a little iffy. Um, but yeah, I mean, outside of that, outside of I mean, they have a chance with Lego Horizon, right? With the Switch being involved. If there was no Switch involved, that game would be also dead. And then obviously Concord, right? Maybe they're gonna show. Oh no, they're not gonna be. Wow, hold on. Let me get this. Wait, this just dawned on me. They're not gonna be there, right? PlayStation's not showing up at
Right.
all. So when like, are they not gonna show us more Concord? Is that not the plan at all? They're just gonna that was that one showing that went horribly, and then they're gonna just be like, "All right, it's happening because this is in August, right? Isn't Gamescom is the beginning of August or in the middle of August?
Yeah,
When is
yeah, I
Gamescom?
can get the exact date, but it's in August. Yeah, it's in towards the end of the summer.
Yeah, right when the Concord is supposed to be coming out. So they didn't think it would be smart to show up with that. I mean, I don't know. Their rationale is wild. It just all it does is it proves more that they really don't have much of anything. I mean, look, obviously they haven't been there for the last 4 years. Maybe they just, you know, don't like Europe, even though that supposedly that's one of their biggest markets. I don't know. Make it make sense to me. Isn't that one of their biggest markets? How they not show up at the biggest, you know, European show, right? I don't know.
I,
At the end of the
I don't
day,
know. It's
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 embarrassing.
definitely interesting. I'll say that. Like, the look, a lot of people have talked about them potentially sitting on their hands, resting on laurels. Right? They're the market leader. Do they have to work as hard? Well, I mean, obviously, they don't think so because they have no first party games coming out this year other than Astrobot, which I'm excited for. Right? Of course, I've talked about that to the point of nauseum. A lot of people are like, yeah, boom, it's whack, or it's just a robot. Yeah, that's fine for you. I like platformers, so for me, it's a W. But Concord, it, that should be a free to play game that would have ultimately failed on its own, and now you have to buy that game at $40. It's just gonna implode on itself. That game's gonna come
I,
and go, just like Foam Stars, brother, just like Foam
I
Stars. But
wonder I wonder if
yeah,
they're gonna do the same thing that they did with the Destruction All Stars. If you remember, that was gonna be a paid game, and
indeed,
then they last second they put it into PlayStation Plus or some shit like that. Something like that. There was like some type of last second change. Um, I wonder if they're gonna just see that nobody's pre-ordering Concord and nobody's excited for Concord. There's no discourse about it,
no,
and be like, all right, well, maybe we should just put it into free to play. Dude, that game is doomed. The game is doomed, the studio's doomed. That's just the reality of what it is, sadly. And it still baffles my mind that we went ahead and had Factions get canceled, the Spider-Man Online get canceled, Twisted Metal got canceled, but freaking Concord is the one that is gonna see the light of day. It's wild. It's wild. But at the end of the day, the them being at the show, they're not there. It's gonna be the 5th year in a row. It just shows that they don't have much of anything. That state of play was not a substitution for a showcase. That was trash. That was trash. And the best games that you're excited for, boom, were shown at the Summer Games Fest.
yeah.
Wasn't even shown at their state of play.
It
You know
was
what I'm
not
saying?
shown at their state of play. Interestingly enough, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because they're not they you know why? Very simple answer. It's not for it's not for, it's not for them. It's not for their people. It's not for PlayStation people. They know they're not gonna show up for it. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good way to look at it. I mean, there were a lot of people, PlayStation gamers, that walked away from the state of play a bit disappointed. I think you're onto something. I think the reason why Astrobot and Lego Horizon wasn't shown there is because they would have gotten even more backlash. That was given to Jeff Keighley, who showed it at his event, and even that, people still walked away. Like I said, I'm buying Lego Horizon. I'm going to buy it on the Switch. Um, so I'm excited for that, but not a lot of people are. Same thing for Astrobot, obviously. I'm excited. A lot of people are not. That's fine. Again, not every game is for every gamer. But I do, look, I think that there is a bigger inherent problem here. See money. We have talked about roadmaps in the last couple of months. Coming out of 2023, a lot of people considered it to be an extremely down year for PlayStation. Spider-Man 2, again, I say this all the time, your mileage may vary. Really enjoyed the game, so it was a W for me, but not for a lot of people. A lot of people was like, yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, I hear you. Uh, but the problem that comes along with, well, the inherent problem that came along with 2023 for PlayStation specifically, you had the major Insomniac leak, which I think that leak is ultimately going to cause a huge delay for both Venom and Wolverine, because the source code is out there for everyone, and there's no way they could re-release that code. Right? It would be a disaster. So that code has to be rewritten. Uh, they had no other first party games outside of MLB The Show, which is a multi-plat. And as we know, and this is a confirmed fact, and I get a lot of pushback from people, it does better on Xbox than it does on PlayStation. That's a fact. The numbers are there, folks.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not making it up for console war rhetoric. I'm just telling you facts. And then we come into 2024, where a lot of people, including myself, was like, "Hey, what is? We know what Xbox has up their sleeve," and they showed us a couple of Sundays ago, and they basically took on all of the detractors who said Xbox for years had no games. Well, here we go. Now, I think, and again, some people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's console warring." I don't really think so. I think this is a conversation I want to have with the people that are here and with UC Money. For years, Xbox painted themselves into a corner with lackluster first party games, and they earned the title Xbox had no games, because they were not delivering on first party. They had some, sure, but not in the abundance of what PlayStation was bringing to the table. Well, now we're in a different, it's almost like Bizarro world, right? Because Xbox may not be the market leader, but that's all anyone is talking about. Let's call a spade here. Right now, Xbox is ruling the roost in the conversation, and we haven't even had the release of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which I think that is really going to drive sales for the console and drive sales for Xbox Game Pass. That is what is going to happen. But see, money, I think we are in an era right now where we are in 2024, which is 6/20/2024, that we can say with full authority, PlayStation doesn't have any games. I want to, I
Like, for
want to,
real, though.
I want to have that conversation.
Yeah, agree. I mean, it's definitely a conversation worth having because this is not a, like it's just funny how they changed the narrative, right? So now the third party games count as them having games, right? Before, when we had just the third party filling in, that didn't count. But like they literally have no roadmap. They literally don't have anything that is exciting anyone in the pipeline, right? Like they just haven't said anything. And honestly, the sad part is even the games you would think that you could say, well, at least we know, you know, Ghost of Tsushima 2 might be a good game, or we know, The Last of Us 3 or whatever else. At this point, we can't even be certain that the companies who gave us good games at the end, or quote unquote good games at the end of the PlayStation 4 generation, are even making that same type of game right now, and they might have to be restructuring everything because of the way that they were, you know, making these multiplayer or live service type games, because it seems like every studio had that mandate to incorporate that in some way, and seems like now they backed out of it. That's why we heard that report or that rumor that they're in worse shape than we think, because a lot of those games that would have been coming out in the next year or two are being, reshuffled, having to be, reconfigured to shout like to work as a single player game now. Um, I mean, even you hear Neil Druckmann, right? They had so many games. I mean, so many years passed since they made their last game that wasn't a remaster or a remake, right? They were gonna have Factions come out. That was gonna be their game for all intents and purposes. Everything leading up to Factions led us to believe that that was their next big game. Okay, that's the way they presented it to us when they announced it on Jeff Keighley's stage, when they came out and showed the art for it or whatever, and the actors came out to talk about it. Like that was gonna be that was their next game, and now that's canceled. And now he's talking about start like, oh, they're so excited about this next game they're making. It's brand new. This is just something that they just started up not too long ago, because you heard him say, I don't know how long I have left. I only have a couple more years before my daughter even cares that I'm around in her life or whatever. Like he's pretty much letting us know that he's wrapping up done and there's nothing ready to go yet. Right? Like this is the crazy part. They are literally in a place where they have no games. Where meanwhile, considering where we are right now, even when they quote unquote had games, they didn't have games compared to
Yeah,
us. You know what I'm saying? Like compared to us, we're getting 10 plus first party games a year. 4 to 5 of them big games. Like what we're not even in the same stratosphere, let alone a conversation about who has games and who doesn't. I mean, we only have games. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all we have nothing but games, right? Whereas over there, like they're clearly not even really interested in PlayStation like they used to be. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. We've seen it. We've talked about it on our channel where when they went ahead and there was just rumors that they were looking to buy Paramount, when you look
yes,
at the state that they were in gaming right now with no games, nothing going on, and seeing everything that Microsoft is doing and spending money in gaming, immediately what I took away from this is PlayStation is having their Google Stadia moment when they're like, okay, we cannot compete at that scale. We cannot compete at that level. Now they're not leaving like Google did, but you heard it multiple times from the top guy all the way down to Herman Hulst, okay? They all said that they have to change the way they're making these games, and that is going to be a fundamental issue for PlayStation fanboys who live and bleed that console war life of we got this amazing top tier game that no one else touches. Well, fam, not only do we touch it, but they cuffed us for that. All right, how much we touched them. All right, we took it too far because we're way beyond touching their games. Okay, we are the new standard in what gaming is on a platform. And now, what are they like? What do they have? They're not going to have big games anymore. They're scaling all this stuff back, man. It's all going to be the same thing. We saw the leaks on X-Men. This is their second next generation only game, assuming that Venom comes first, it'd probably be third by then, but second next generation game. And what do we see from the leaks? The same crap with Spider-Man 2. It is take the land, take the move set, put it in this new game, and just reskin it. This is all it is. Even the jump motion that they use in Spider-Man was in this game. Meaning they're not coming at this game saying, okay, we got X-Men. I mean, we have Wolverine. Who's Wolverine? What does this mean? Let's build this game. Let's get it done. Instead of putting him in the jungles or wherever he should be, making this interesting, we're gonna put him back to make sure he has buildings to climb. Bro, we were watching on our channel, we were looking at some of the leak footage that just popped up, and they have Wolverine climbing up buildings, running rooftops, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. Like, bro, who is this dude? You know what I'm saying? Like, who is this Wolverine that goes and does this? It's them just taking the path of least resistance. They're taking it, making sure that they're laying the foundation of Spider-Man 1 because Spider-Man 2's foundation is Spider-Man 1's foundation. So they're taking the same old Spider-Man 1 foundation and then they're just going to build on top of that and make the graphics shiny. And ultimately what it's going to do is going to feel like a copycat game the same way I felt with Spider-Man 2, the same way I felt with the what is it, the other
Miles
GOW,
Morales.
God of War. No, Miles Morales was
Okay.
good because it was different. It was they had the they had
I
Miles in
loved
it.
it. I would even dare say
Miles was
I loved
dope.
it better than 2018, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the second one, because then once you did that, you take it away, right? Like it's Miles should have had this should have just been a full fledged Miles game. That's what they should have gave us. They should have gave us a full fledged Miles game would have been dope. But either way, that doesn't matter. The point is that they just reuse these things, and like that's not exciting, right? That's not exciting for Insomniac. Obviously, you reuse some things, right? Like you don't just throw everything away and start over, but these people are literally just created a skin of Wolverine, put it over Spider-Man, and that was their starting point. Run up walls, do all this. Like how like this doesn't make any sense to me, dude. That doesn't make any sense to me. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing because I understand like you have plenty of people out here who are Xbox fans who talk hella shit about PlayStation, but they have never spent a dime in that ecosystem. So that is just people talking for the sake of talking, right?
Right.
They don't like it because it's PlayStation, not because they've experienced PlayStation or got burned by PlayStation. I have them. I probably spent more money on PlayStation than most of these ponies who are out here talking smack. If you watch any of our streams, you'll see we have two collector's editions of God of War Ragnarok. Two, not just one, the yellow one and the blue one. You see the Venom 19 inches of Venom statue there. You see the PlayStation 5 from
Was.
Spider-Man. We have at this point, it is what it is. You got another PlayStation Spider-Man. Like we're gamers. I'm gonna play wherever there's good stuff. The problem is I'm not talking crap about Spider-Man 2 because I am talking crap about Spider-Man 2. I own Spider-Man 2. I I have two copies, as a matter of fact, because I got two different, actually three, because it came with the other thing. Yeah, so we have three, right? It's dude, I don't want dude, my son loves Spider-Man. His favorite
Yeah.
superhero, Spider-Man. He beat Spider-Man 2018. He can't even be bothered He has Spider-Man 2. It came with one of the PlayStations. We put it over there. He can't even bother with it. I think he started it for a little bit. It's just it does not hit the same because it's more of the same. They're not pushing, they're not taking risks, they're not doing anything. And we understand. I get it. You can't take risks because y'all broke, right? I understand. Except they're only broke when it comes to gaming, apparently, right? Because when it comes to movie stuff, they'll take the last $9 billion they have in cash and they'll go all in and get a loan or partner with Apollo to do a $26 billion purchase. But when it comes to gaming, that deal fell through. Did they say, you know what? All right, Apollo, listen, I know we were going to do movie stuff, but how about we take that money? Let's go big in gaming. Let's go buy ourselves a publisher. Let's go buy ourselves some studios. Let's go compete with Microsoft. See, everybody was talking about Microsoft competing, right? That competition is dead and gone. Microsoft has created a new competition, and unfortunately, PlayStation doesn't seem to want to take part. Okay. They don't look like they're planning to show up to this one. Right. And that is absolutely the problem. They're not looking to compete. Will there be games? Yes. Will there be games that the ponies are going to cap for and say it's amazing because it's the new game? Sure. But are people who remember PlayStation when they put a lot of energy into making something special and making something new? Even though I never cared for PlayStation in general like that, I could always appreciate that they went further. They tried to do more with the details they would put in the game. And Naughty Dog is one of my favorite developers. I see what they put a lot into these games to, even if you don't like the subject matter or whatever it is, the attention to detail is wild that they've put in there. And that's all gone, man. That's all gone. We don't know what's happening. We don't know who's doing what. We don't know what they're going to come in at. But the only thing we do know is what we've seen on the PlayStation 5 generation has been nothing impressive. Nothing sticks out as, oh my God, I can't believe we got this game on the PlayStation 5 this generation. I mean, tell me I'm wrong, but what has been a generation defining game for PlayStation? Just hasn't happened. I mean, we've had ours, right? Hellblade 2 set a new bar for gaming, okay? From how you tell a story to the graphics that are involved with it. It was a whole different ball game, it's in a whole new league. It has literally changed everything in gaming for me, right? Every time I look at something, I'm like, oh man, that game's coming out when? Next year? Next year? We had Hellblade this year. Next year, this is what the game's gonna look like. You better step your stuff up. Like, we're in this new generation, man. It's been 4 years. We're not new anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, when are we gonna start taking advantage of this stuff? Listen, at the end of the day, I'm glad that Xbox is showing up the way they're showing up and pushing things forward, because if Xbox decided to not push, I don't know where gaming would be right this second, because PlayStation is, they're just not there. I mean, dude, at this point, Xbox is E3. Xbox might as well just go buy the name and just start it back up and put it on their backs, because that's exactly what just took place. The only excitement we had this summer was Xbox, dude. Every
Well, I
other
mean,
show
listen,
was
you
about
can't,
it.
you're not lying there. The stats are out. Like, now Jeff Keighley, obviously, Game Award, Mr. Game Awards, put out his polls, and there were polls for everything: polls for Ubisoft, polls for PlayStation, polls for his own Summer Games Fest, and every one of them. The only one that gave Xbox a run for its money, which doesn't mean it's better, but they did do. I thought they brought enough to the table, was Nintendo. Everyone else seemed to be, listen. Your Ubisoft. I walked away disappointed because we still didn't get Splinter Cell. So I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I've
Ubisoft
seen all these
show was
games.
horrible.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
wasn't
god.
good. It wasn't good. An update to some of the stuff. I mean, listen, Assassin's Creed looks great. I can't wait to play it. Star Wars
We
Outlaws
already
looks
had seen it,
great.
even though
We
that
seen
was a
it.
good showing of Assassin's Creed, because they showed it in a different way, but they could have just put that trailer in the Xbox showcase, you know what I'm saying, and just let us rock with that one for a while. But I get it. They had to keep it short on Xbox. But outside of that, nothing new, nothing exciting from them. They were the kings of the one last thing. If you remember, there was a time where every year they came out with Watch Dogs. Remember that when they showed us that as the one more thing
Yep.
was stunning. I don't think like a game as far as, like, what they showed and the atmosphere and the way that look, I don't think there's many games that today stand up to that first reveal of Watch Dogs that they did. That was massively downgraded when it actually released. Same thing
Yeah,
with
I mean, they
Division.
unfortunately, they're notorious for that. They did it with one of my favorite games, The Division. Like The Division,
Yep.
like when the guy's walking
Remember
past and he
that? When he
closes.
closed it
Yeah,
nicely, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I was like,
And
"Oh my
actually, if you
god,
if
this
you
is
if
next
you
gen."
look at the finite details of that particular, those NYPD cars were changed to PDNY because I guess they couldn't get the license from New York City. Which
Uh,
it's just those finite details that I noticed. But look, um, PlayStation not going to Gamescom is a disappointment, and it should ring some alarms for PlayStation gamers because I know there's going to be some detractors of see money. They're gonna be like, well, it's their fifth year. They don't think it's important. Well, maybe they should because Europe is one of their biggest markets. So maybe you should actually give a hoot. I don't know.
you know what's funny with how they say that? "Oh, well, it's their 5th year. PlayStation just doesn't think it's important." No, no, no. They don't think you're important. Right?
Interesting.
That's
Great,
that
great
is the
thought and
difference.
theory.
They don't think you are important. They don't think they need to show up to entertain you, to let you into what's going on at PlayStation. But you cap for PlayStation, so you don't care. But
Right.
at the end of the day, when PlayStation doesn't show up to these things, that's not a, "Oh, PlayStation is so amazing. Thank you, PlayStation, for not showing up." No. No. No, you look at them and you say, "Why? Show us something." You have Concord. How can you not say, "We're gonna show hey, we're not gonna do a big presentation, but we're gonna be there. We have Concord to show you because it's gonna be a great game. So we're gonna show you again. Maybe this one didn't look great, but in Gamescom, we're really gonna wow you." No, nothing. Nothing. Lego, the Astrobot, all these games are coming out after Gamescom. Why are they not coming back to show us more if it's something that they're really standing behind,
Yeah.
right?
Great point.
But they don't wanna what they don't wanna do is that what? They don't wanna pay for a showcase. They don't wanna pay to produce another state of play, to produce a showcase. They don't wanna pay to have their games showed on Gamescom. Like, this is all signs of their broke acidness. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just what it is, yo. This is just what it
Well, I
is.
mean, listen, again, PlayStation gamers, if you want to sit in the corner and just take it, that's up to you. You should demand better. I know we heard that rhetoric plenty of times, see money about, oh, you Xbox need to ask for better. Well, we did. And Xbox has delivered tenfold. And again, 17 games during the Xbox Game Showcase. Gamescom is happening soon in August. That's going to have potentially some surprises. As a matter of fact, the last topic that we're going to get into is something that comes the way of Towerborn. That they just tweeted that they are going to be there in a big game. That would in a big way. That was one of the games, see money, that we
Oh,
were all
Towerborn
wondering.
tweeted that?
Yep, I'm going to read it verbatim. But hey, listen,
Yeah,
real
I
quick, I
figured
want to
that
catch up
much.
on super chats, and the reason why I'm not answering anyone in the chat is because my keyboard decided to take a dump live on the air, and I have to reset my computer. So I don't want to do that. Obviously, we're doing the live stream, so I have to do it after. So apologies to the 654 live viewers across Twitter and YouTube for being here. Thank you so much. But let me catch up on the super chats. I'm laughing because my brother, who's been a channel member for 48 months
I
in
saw
all
it.
caps, says, "It's because you're a boob. I demand better from you." Indeed, he always does. And as he should, as my brother. King Webb has become a channel member. King Webb, welcome back, brother. Thank you so much for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. Game Shark, who's been a channel member for a whopping 6 months, he says,
That's
all
dude, what's up,
companies
player?
F around and find out. We see what happens to sales when they skip Xbox/PC, and not the end of the. It's not the end of the world, but it will backfire. I mean, like I said, I'm a Capcom guy. Everyone knows that knows and follows me. I'm just disappointed that it's not coming to Xbox. I'm hoping that by going out there and putting it out on the socials, maybe PR picks it up and be like, hey, maybe we should get this done. And maybe they work with Capcom, or maybe they don't. But I'm buying it on the Switch, and that's the end of it. Again, Concerned? No. Is it an L for Xbox? Absolutely not. Is it XboxTax? No, it is not. It is just I'm disappointed. I'd rather be able to buy it on Xbox, but I have to buy it on Switch. And to be honest with you, I probably would have double dipped like I do with Switch and Xbox on a regular basis. But such is life. CR Wimpy drops not one but two $5 super chat. And the first one he says, "Love C Money and Doodle. Listen to y'all all the time. Where did
Thank
the
you, brother.
hate from bots come from?" I don't know, to be honest with you.
It's the way, my man. It's the
Yeah,
way.
such as again,
Be with
such
a
is
B.
life.
Hey, as
His
long as you like it, my friend, that's who we do the show for, man. So thank you, brother.
There you
Appreciate
go.
you for coming
There
in.
you go. His second $5 super chat says, "Too many people avoiding things instead of addressing them." And that's a great point. Instead of burying your head in the sand, ask for better. Like I said, as Xbox fans, we weren't getting what we were promised and what we deserved as consumers. We rattled the chains, and now some big old change happened. And well, look, 17 first-party games in one show, which has never been done before, and the roadmap for Xbox is ridiculous. Not so much for PlayStation because, well, PlayStation gamers just like, yeah, I'll just take it. It's fine. It's a remake. It's okay. I have to pay $10 for that upgrade. And you know what? No problem. Take 20. Ask for better. That's all,
Facts.
all I got. JJ saying 117 drops a very generous $2 super chat. And he says Sony is skipping because they are too comfortable. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Sitting on or
Definitely
resting on
possible.
your laurels for sure is definitely a potential issue. Jacob Novick drops a very generous $10 super chat. And he says, "Hi. Xbox showed up to the Game Awards 2022 with nothing but Xbox Game Pass ads. We got angry, but Xbox at least showed up. In my opinion, if a company even cares a single bit, regardless of just being there, they should just show up. Indeed, they absolutely should, but they're not. And again, it's just I just think that it's spitting in the eye of their consumers in Europe, which of course they
Facts.
are the market leader there, 5-1. So they're comfortable. They don't care about, like C Money said, they don't care about you, the European consumer. You should have a problem with that. Ice cold cabbage.
I think you
What's up?
you skipped one.
Oh, I did. Yes. Sith Lord, who's been a channel member for whopping 26 months. Sith Lord, thank you
26
so much
months.
for the generosity, brother. And your package, well, is being mailed out today. So look for the mail, and I'll send you the tracking once I get that over to you. He says, as a gamer, it hurts to see Sony in this position. Sony might not have games until late 25, 26. Canceling all of those games was a mistake, but games will come. Yeah, listen, like Hargeet said last night, I think it's a mistake to potentially discount Sony. They will come back. I don't know when that is going to be, what games that are going to be. They're not going out of business. Sony isn't dead. They are in
They
a bit
don't
of a tailspin.
they live off of to be clear, they've always lived off of third party sales
Yeah,
anyway. So people act as if Call of Duty is somehow disappearing from their system. They're still going to make, if anything, they're making more money
yeah.
from Call of Duty going forward. The only part that's going to hurt them is if people start leaving and going to Xbox, but that's going to be slow. It'll happen over time, but that's going to be a slow burn. People are not going to just throw away their PlayStation 5s that they already have to go to Xbox. So, you're talking they have plenty of time to just live their life as a third party box and show up with something. But to be clear, like I know, me and Hargeet, we've talked about this multiple times, but like, understand, there's no, the only comeback that Sony can do is if they end up buying a whole bunch of studios and compete with volume. Volume is their problem right now. Sure, can they already told you they're coming out with one game a year.
One
That's
AAA
a
game.
tentpole game.
Yep.
One big game a year, and that's in the holiday. So if you're a PlayStation person, you can pack up your box for 11 months out the year, and then in November when the new game comes out, you unpack it, play it for the weekend. That's all it's going to take you to beat that game, and then pack it back up, put it away, and nothing would have changed for you because that's the only game that is they're coming with. There is no there's nothing to say that they can come do some special thing. It doesn't matter what the game is. They could come out with the 10 out of 10 game every holiday. It's still not enough. People don't play games one time a year. People play games throughout the entire year. You cannot think that you're fighting a army with one sword. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not gonna happen. Like, there's just an onslaught every year from Xbox that is coming. It's crash after crash after
Yep.
crash of the wave against you. Sure, you can stay afloat for so long, but at the end of the day, you're just becoming more and more irrelevant. And that's what's going to be the death of the PlayStation idea, right? The brand will stay, right? People have PlayStations, people do it, but the mind share going from PlayStation to Xbox, that is what you'll see shift as they continue to only show up once a year in any meaningful way. Again, you look at this year, they had nothing but third party exclusives that literally all went out to die. No one's talking about any of them. Final Fantasy died, Rise of the Ronin died, all of them. Helldivers, they killed themselves. Okay. It was doing fine on PC. Then they did that thing, and everything is silent.
Yeah.
Unless you follow Helldivers to get news, it's gone, dude. Nobody cares about that game anymore. PlayStation players never really cared about the game. But the fact is, we're just in a whole different space now. They can't compete the way Xbox is competing. They'll service their people with the one game, and they'll cap for that one game the whole year into the next one. All right. But at the end of the day, if you're a gamer and you want to have games, Xbox is giving you massive amounts of first party, and they are not skimping on third party day and date Game Pass deals. There's nothing else to do. It's just is what it is.
Great points all around, as always. Ice Cold Cabbage drops a very generous £5 super chat, and he says PlayStation is chasing the bag, remakes, cash grabs, and on big IPs, asset flips with Marvel games, zero innovation and investment in live services. At least Microsoft is trying. And yeah, they are.
Absolutely.
Listen, Microsoft,
I
specifically
think they're
Xbox,
doing, bro.
is hitting on all cylinders. They have addressed multiplayer because it's been a multiplayer box for years. Their gas games that people pointed to made fun of them, like Sea of Thieves and Grounded, and all of the other ones that are making money hand over fist for them, like Halo Infinite, that continues to be updated. Um, they're making money for them. Minecraft making money for them. What did they what was the main draw and the major conversation out of the of this 2 Sundays ago showcase? Single player, story driven, narrative focused titles. Like you can say, oh well, those are very similar to what PlayStation's been doing for years. Yes, the difference is now Microsoft is specifically hitting on all three cylinders, where Sony seems to be floundering. They are in a tailspin. They are directionless, whether you want to admit it or you don't. And until they fix that problem, we're going to still have this conversation. And it's not console war rhetoric, it is facts. And a lot
Yep.
of people were very quick to point this out. Every time Xbox makes a boo boo, it's they're going out of business. 2026 is their last console. They're not going to be around. And no one ever equates that to Sony, because Sony can do no wrong, according to many people in
Yep.
the circles.
Not,
Finally,
not console war if you're just talking about the facts.
yes,
It's just what it
yes.
is. It's not console war, man. If it
I
hurts you like
really
that,
get aggravated when
problem.
people try to turn it around and be like, "Oh, it's just console war." No, it is not. It is being factual, where we can have a conversation without saying, "Oh, PlayStation sucks," because no, I like PlayStation. I own a PlayStation 5, but there's been
Exactly.
nothing to
I
play
own a
on.
PlayStation.
Sorry,
That's the
that's just
problem.
yeah, that's the problem. Indeed. But
They
listen,
wanna paint you like you're just this
bot.
Xbox
Yes, you're just a
person
bot.
who refuses to acknowledge that games can exist elsewhere. And I know there's plenty of people who do that, right? And that's fine. but I'm not one of those people. I'm okay if a game that looks super dope coming to PlayStation 5, then I will hopefully be able to play it. But it has to look super dope and be super dope. And unfortunately, you know, I've been burned every time they release a first party game this year. I mean, this generation. So just not excited for what they haven't shown us shit. There's nothing to be excited about for PlayStation, regardless of how you cut it, man. It's crazy.
Well, listen, finally, let me catch up on these last two super chats, folks, and then we're going to get everyone out of here because, this is only normally a 70-minute show. The news from Towerborn, I'm going to move to tomorrow because obviously I want to read the story. There's been quite a few Gamescom stories that have come out that I want to get into. We're going to be covering that tomorrow. And again, reminder, if there's any one time to be in the chat, it's tomorrow. And that's only going to work if you are in the chat for YouTube, not Twitter, because Mrs. Boom and I are giving away 5 of the special edition Gears of War coins designed exclusively for the event that happened 2 Sundays ago with the reveal of Gears E-Day. And those design coins come the way of Ben Kenobi. How you're going to win is very simple. If you're in the chat and the picker picks you for putting in the hashtag, which of course I will drop in the chat first thing tomorrow morning when the show goes live, you win the coin. You send me your first and your last name and your address. I mail it out to you free of charge. We pay the shipping, and there's your coin. These coins are limited. I believe there were only 100 something made. If you miss out, you miss out. I don't have any extras to dole out. We had a few extras. Those have gone to community members that support the channel in big ways. And of course, these 5 that we have left over, I think we have actually 6 left over. We may do 6 tomorrow. We're going to give those away. And again, if you win, great. If you don't, that's the last time, unless Ben Kenobi sends me more. That's going to be it. The only way you're going to win one of these coins, and they are limited, folks, is if you're in a chat tomorrow morning for Breakfast at Boom. Midway through the show, we'll announce the winners. And, obviously, it's just another way for me and Mrs. Boom to give back to this community. And a big shout out to Ben Kenobi over at Xbox Fan Art, who designed these coins, and they are just absolutely stunning. You've seen the pictures for a couple of other creators that have given them away already, like Ains from Season Gaming, but they are so much nicer when you see them in person. It's just unbelievable how nice these coins are. But Edward Lafferty, who's been a channel member for 9 long months, brother, thank you so much for the support. He says, don't forget to buy your 360 games. Yes, there are themes, avatar gear, etc. before the marketplace closes on July 29th. Next discount is July 16th. Many already discounted. Yeah. So if you like Xbox 360 stuff, the marketplace is closing. And thanks so much, Edward, for that. On the 29th of July. That's being shut down. Right now, I think they have 90 games, and most of which are like 80% off. It's just unbelievable. You're getting games for like $2. So if you like backwards compatibility, if you like 360 games, go in there, find all the games you want, buy them now, because after July 29th, that is it. And finally, JJ Sane 117 drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat. He goes on to say, do you think Sony paid Capcom to keep Marvel vs. Capcom off Xbox? No. That's facts. It is simply the MT framework that is non-existent on the Xbox Series X and S, and I don't even know if it's working on the Xbox One. It is currently working on the PS4. It is currently working on Steam, obviously PC, and obviously the Switch. That framework, again, I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know how these things work behind the scenes, but I did reach out to Kei Asante, who said that it is fixable. Whether it's an easy fix or not, he didn't suggest, but it is fixable. The two companies have to come together. Maybe Microsoft has to pay for it, and then the work gets done by Capcom. I think that's what they should do. Again, it's not going to sell 10 million copies on Xbox, but they've had all of the other collections that are backwards compatible. It seems misplaced that this is going to skip the platform when all of the other ones are available on Xbox. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Xbox can do the work, they can spend the money, and let Capcom do their thing. I think this is a fixable situation. Again, don't lose sleep over it. Go buy it on PC, go buy it on PS5, PS4, or get it on your Switch. It's just disappointing, ultimately. But see,
Well,
money. Let's
real
get you.
quick, just
Yeah,
because let me just because I saw it in the chat
yeah,
and
go ahead.
I've seen a bunch of people as we were talking, I'm just watching. Um, so just as a quick aside, right? So a lot of people were talking about this whole console warring thing. We were just talking about it. That it was fine back then, but now they're tired of it, right? And my response, and then saw Quan the Terrible. He wrote, Xbox guys had to weather the pony storm when y'all were on top. But we gotta be peaceful now that Xbox is dominating. Fat chance.
I mean,
Listen,
that's a factual statement. And
yeah,
again, to
now
your
everybody
point, I
wants to be
love
like,
how
"No
it's
console war, no
yeah,
more.
yeah.
Don't console war now." That Xbox is in a position, or Xbox fans are in a position where they can have the upper hand in that in that console war conversation, right? Now, what? Why are they doing this? Why is this here? No one was coming at Dreamcast guy and all these people for getting big off of all this stuff. But now that Xbox is the one that's on top, now we're supposed to be like, no, let's not talk about the hardships over at PlayStation. Let's just, it's all fun. Come on, man.
Double
That's
standard.
crazy.
That's
Double
what it is.
standard,
But
man.
listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Let's get C Money out of here, brother. Sell your brand. Tell everyone about where they can subscribe to your incredible YouTube channel that you do with Doodle, your son, and of course other parts of your family that join in to have a gaming conversation. Talk about it. Where can they subscribe, and more importantly, follow you on social media?
Yeah, man. Well, obviously, Boom. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you, man. Love doing the show, man. So thank you for having me again. Um, right here. Oh, damn. Boom. See money forever.
Yeah, you
That's
go.
me over on Twitter. You can find me there. We have a channel that's called On Point for Gamers, where we do basically 5 shows, but it's 4 to 5 shows a week. Um, let me just I'm putting the the
Drop
link
the
in
link into
there.
the chat.
Yeah, I'll drop the link in there. And we do 4 or 5 shows a week. We live stream. We do reviews, previews. We do interviews. That's our big thing. We do her, him, and the dev. So yeah, we have our show on Sundays called Morning Quest. It's with Doodle and See Money. It's just me and my wife. And we spend a lot talking about whatever topic it is, but it's very chat focused. We have the chat very much involved during the whole thing. And then on Tuesdays, typically at 4 p.m. Eastern, we have our dev show called Her, Him, and a Dev. It's an interview show where we interview developers, publishers. We had Seamus Blackley on. So pretty much anybody who's been involved in the other side of gaming, not the fan side, but more of the dev side, publisher side, creator side. So that's a great show. Actually, this week coming up on Tuesday, actually, I think it's at 11. I think it's actually early. I think it's at 11 a.m. Eastern, and it's with the gentleman who they made Zao.
Oh,
Um,
nice, dude. That's great.
yeah,
That's a great
yeah.
get.
It's pretty cool. They reached out. They wanted to, they wondered if we would do the show with them, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So very excited to have them on. It's pretty cool. So they're gonna be there on Tuesday. And then on Tuesday night, we have our show Night Quest, which is it's a fun show. It's basically a show where we go live, talk about whatever topics, and we put the link in the chat. So it's very similar to Morning Quest, except Night Quest is more about coming on the show as opposed to just talking in the chat. So that's always a fun one. And then Thursday, and that's at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And then on Thursday nights, we have our On Point Gaming podcast. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is Doodle, myself, sometimes Madman, depending on what's going on. But it's our gaming podcast where we're talking about all the news that's going on. And then Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the night shift, Let's Talk Gaming, where it's myself, Doodle. We got the homie Hargeet Shani. He's part of that show. And then we also have our homie Demo Flow Gaming, who is also part of that show each week. And sometimes we have a guest, like I think This week I think we have Ray coming. I'm not quite sure. I think he was gonna hop on. But either way, it's just just a fun show, talk about gaming, getting everybody's perspective on things. It's a fun time. So definitely come check us out, man. It's a good time. We appreciate you guys. Boom, we appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. And
Well, enjoy.
obviously you find me here on Thursdays at 12 p.m.
Yes,
on
absolutely,
Xbox
brother.
Live, homies.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of the show each and every week. A big thank you to all of the people that tuned in for today. If you enjoyed the conversation, please consider hitting the like button. Of course, while you're here, if you're finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. Obviously, we are on the
Yes.
hunt. We have 250-ish away from 15K, which would be, it's a really big deal. We're a small channel. We're still growing,
That's
and to
dope.
hit 15K in 2024 would be a big deal for us. And you can help us get there by subscribing, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the bell icon, and of course, if you're feeling
Coming over from Twitter.
incredibly generous,
You know what I'm saying? Come on
yeah,
over. Come on over from
yeah,
Twitter. Hit the
there you
subscribe
go.
button,
That's all, and share it on social media. There you go.
There
But
you go.
thank you again for everyone being here. A big thank you to all of the super chats, and of course the channel members that are constantly joining the channel, as well as, of course, continuing to support the work that Mrs. Boom and I are doing here, especially with the big giveaways. And that again, the financial help on the back end allows us to do all of the big giveaways that we're doing, and we have quite a few left for the year. And of course, they pay for things like, I don't know, shipping coins to everyone. And we've shipped this year alone, I would say about maybe 35 or 40 coins. We've shipped a lot, and it's expensive,
It's a
but
lot.
it's what we do, and we couldn't do this without you. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids, and we'd say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.